Movie opens with a lawyer named Rachel Wilde whose job is to hunt down those who hide their debts through legal loopholes and shell companies. She operates in the gray zone between legal and illegal. Some time ago, her mentor Braxton, the man who taught her everything, went to recover a debt owed to an asset management firm called Spencer Goldstein from a man named Salazar. He secured Salazar's final signature to recover the entire debt. But before he could fly back to New York, Salazar's man, Olson, killed him on Salazar's island. Now Rachel arrives at the Spencer Goldstein office. Before his death, Braxton had been dealing with a woman named Bobby. Rachel confronts her and asks why she let Braxton walk in blind without warning him what he was getting himself into. Manny Salazar is not the kind of man you loan $1 billion and expect to see it again. But Rachel can recover that money. Bobby knows Rachel's services come at a steep price. Rachel warns her that if she sends someone else, that person will end up dead, too. Then Rachel makes her offer. If anything happens to her, none of the blame will land on them, and they only pay her if she recovers the full debt. In return, Rachel wants 20% of it, a steep rate. Bobby bargains. Rachel settles on 10% and $10 million up front. Bobby has no choice but to agree. The scene shifts to two men, Sid and Bronco. They are the only two people Rachel trusts to keep her alive. Rachel knows Salazar is a chameleon who hides behind hundreds of fake names. To corner him, she has to attack from two sides at once, the legal and the illegal, and she has a team for each. Rachel sends it to Saudi Arabia and takes Bronco with her. Posing as a wealthy client, she walks into the office of Salazar's lawyer, William, and asks about Salazar's portfolio. William senses these two are here with a different agenda. He calls in his security. Bronco tells him there are two ways this plays out. Either his security agent waits quietly until they conclude their business, or the agent steps forward recklessly, and William spends the next 6 hours sponging him off the walls. Rachel explains that she is here for the debt Salazar owes Spencer Goldstein, and this is William's chance to work with her and reach an agreement. William warns her not to get into water she can't swim in. Rachel hands him her number, tells him he'll need it, and walks out. Bronco and Baker travel to Salazar's island, start sabotaging his interests, and set up a base there. Meanwhile, Sid reaches Saudi Arabia and anonymously tips off the authorities that Salazar is building a hotel in Jeddah at 150,000 square feet instead of the approved 130,000. The news goes straight to William, who now faces a penalty of $4 million a week. William realizes this is Rachel's doing. Next, Sid prepares to bribe someone. There's a forensic skill to bribery, and Sid is the finest surgeon at it. They ram a port superintendent's car, then take the man aside, show him, and slip $25,000 into his vehicle, telling him he can earn a full year's salary in 6 weeks. The superintendent impounds Salazar's 20,000 tons of steel, claiming the paperwork doesn't match. With that, 2,000 construction workers sit idle on full pay. After hitting Salazar in Saudi Arabia, they move on to his business on the Spanish island. Bronco and Baker arrive and connect with a man who can get them anything they want. They sabotage Salazar's 200,000-ton oil rig using a 25G fuse, costing Salazar $500,000 a day. Salazar is furious. He demands to know from William who is doing this to him. William tells him about Rachel and warns that she's going to keep being a very big problem. Salazar asks what happens if she doesn't survive. William tells him Rachel has already insured against that. If they kill her, 20 prepaid lawyers are waiting to keep the case alive. He advises Salazar to make her an offer of $300 million. Salazar doesn't like the idea. William adds that there's only so much she can find. All the truly valuable assets are still controlled by a man named Wolfgang, someone Rachel will never uncover. But during that very first meeting, Bronco had already planted a bug inside one of William's awards. Now they know Wolfgang is an accountant in Jeddah who hides Salazar's money by bouncing it across countries and burying it under layers of shell companies. If you can't find Salazar's money, you can't recoup the debt. They need access to Wolfgang's computer so Rachel can prove that Salazar owns those companies. Sid attends Wolfgang's party posing as a potential investor and grabs his attention by winning game after game of backgammon with loaded dice. Wolfgang hears that every time the stranger wins, he refuses to take the money. Intrigued, Wolfgang sits down to play him himself. Sid wins and again refuses the money. He tells Wolfgang he can repay him with a rematch. This time, Sid loses on purpose. As payment, he offers Wolfgang a gift, an esoteric sculpture of the kind Wolfgang loves. But hidden inside, it is a camera and a Tempest attack device that steals the data off Wolfgang's computers. The device hands them the details of Salazar's shell companies. Rachel takes it to court and gets those frozen, too. William calls and offers Rachel $200 million. Rachel calls the offer funny. William raises it to $300 million. Rachel tells him she wants to talk to Salazar. But before that meeting ever takes place, Sid reaches Bronco on the island where Baker, Moreno, Dunn, and Gucci are already waiting with him. Their primary objective will be getting Rachel off the island. For that, they have an ambulance, 2 canoes, a police car, 3 KTM 450s, 2 all-terrain vehicles, a full set of knives and forks, guns, grenades, and a grenade launcher. Everything is stashed in the most remote corner of Salazar's island. Rachel is only ever going to be in one of 2 places, either at this villa or at Salazar's hotel. She will meet Salazar in his penthouse suite, and if things heat up, they will extract her, bring her back to the villa, and then get her off the island. They have chosen 3 evacuation points across the island. The local police are on Salazar's payroll, too. So, the police station is a problem. If any of their people ends up inside, they need to know exactly how to get them out. First, they scout the fastest route from Salazar's penthouse through the city to the eastern evac point. Because of the city traffic, the quickest way is by bike. They deliberately provoke a police car parked up ahead, and the officers take off after them, but they shake the chase with ease, dropping straight into a storm drain. Their primary evac point is to the north. Waiting there are gyruptors, the fastest way to lift Rachel off the island. They start rehearsing the entire procedure to shave off every second. If that route fails, they fall back to the western evac, which means returning to the villa. But to push beyond it, they have to cross a 300 feet deep, untraversable ravine. They will do it by zip line, and no one will be able to follow them across. From there, they will reach the harbor on their hidden ATVs. They lay traps along the routes. They drill until they can get the gyruptors airborne within 3 minutes. They practice shooting while riding their bikes. They make a plan for if the northern evac fails. They will lure their pursuers into a banana pie. They dig a hole in the floor and cover it with trapdoors connected to a crank arm. They will drive over it and Bronco will leap out and trigger it. The only time Rachel is truly vulnerable is in transit between the hotel and the villa. And they can't stop her from pulling over for an ice cream. So, they need to be invisible around her. And the moment the enemy comes for a bite, they will strike brutally. To stay one step ahead of Salazar and hear his conversations, Sid and Bronco head into the hotel. Bronco fakes a heart attack and lifts the skeleton key off the hotel manager. Their tech expert, Gucci, kills the cameras. With that cover, Bronco and Sid slip into Salazar's penthouse suite and plant their bugs. Now they will track his every move. They plant engine killers beneath the police cars. And to figure out a way out of the police station, Sid deliberately gets drunk and makes a scene right in front of the cops on the street. They haul him in. Meanwhile, on the other side, Rachel has Salazar's jet and boat seized. This one hits Salazar personally. It's his own jet, and now he can't even fly in it. He agrees to meet Rachel. The next day, Sid is released from jail. But by now, he has already mapped the camera locations, counted the guards, and counted the guns. At the same time, Salazar's head of security, Olsen, has finally locked his eyes on them. So, Rachel arrives for the meeting. Sid hands her a watch. One press of its button, and he'll have her exact location. Rachel earned the loyalty of Bronco and Sid 100 jobs ago when she broke them out of a prison in Thailand. Even now, their car is being followed. They reach their villa, where Rachel meets up with the rest of the team. Salazar lands on his island as well. Bronco, Sid, and Rachel head up to his penthouse. There, William on Salazar's behalf opens with an offer of $350 million. Then Salazar raises it to $400 since this is the first time in 15 years he has traveled to a meeting in a jet that wasn't his own. He tells Rachel there's a line that separates business wealth from personal assets. Spencer Goldstein invested in his business, not in his personal space. But she has crossed that line. He tells her to quietly take the $400 million and walk away because her blade has reached its hilt and she can't cut any deeper, which means Rachel needs more leverage. So, she asks for a beer and they can't refuse her. The whole team drifts in around a cafe, and at the same time, Salazar's men begin to arrive. Bronco draws his gun and screws on a silencer, but the enemy numbers keep climbing. Sid moves into the cafe too. Bronco drops 2 in the lobby, and the rest of the team does the same. They cut down every one of Salazar's men in an instant and begin the extraction. Salazar gets word that it didn't work. 14 of his men are dead. And now, because of this move, Rachel will be able to trigger an emergency injunction that will turn his entire world upside down. Then Rachel gets a call from her team. Wolfgang is moving big assets because they're panicking. And now Rachel's people can cut off these income streams, too, which will force Salazar to come crawling back and pay the full $1 billion. Sid asks Rachel whether she wants to go all in or get out. She chooses to stay. Through the courts, Rachel's team shuts down his chemical manufacturing company with a $1.1 billion turnover. They shut down his telecom company holding $800 million in assets. They shut down another company sitting on a $385 million cash reserve. In Wolfgang's room, his people finally discover the Trojan rat, but Rachel's work is already done. William calls. Salazar wants to meet her at once. They walk back into the lion's den. Salazar still offers $800 million and demands the return of his boat and jet. But Rachel reminds him that she has seen behind the curtain. Does he really want her to resurrect all the bodies he's been hiding? She can hand the exact location of every one of those corpses to every single investor Salazar has ever burnt. And then Salazar won't be paying $1 billion. He'll be paying $5 billion. Salazar agrees to pay the $1 billion. Then he tells William to pay Rachel and dispose of William too. Rachel calls Bobby and tells her Salazar has agreed to pay the full amount. Her boss should be calling her any second now. And when that happens, return everything they seized. The very next moment, Bobby's phone rings. The scene shifts 3 months ahead. Spencer Goldstein still hasn't paid Rachel. Rachel is on vacation when she spots a car approaching. She finds her security agent lying dead at the door. Salazar's man, Olsen, has arrived. Rachel presses the button on her watch. Bronco and Sid rush to Bobby. They tell her Salazar has taken Rachel. Bobby says it's been handled, that they're working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Spanish police. And that's when Bronco and Sid learn that Bobby still hasn't returned Salazar's jet and boat and still hasn't paid Rachel. Bobby tells them nothing is as simple as it seems. Rachel is taken to the island police station. There, Salazar tells her Spencer Goldstein has not kept his side of the agreement. So now he holds something valuable to them. But Rachel says she isn't valuable to them at all. He may be worth billions, but they manage trillions. Holding her will get him nowhere. They won't pay. Salazar tells her to make them pay, or her body parts will start arriving at their office. So Sid and Bronco land on the island with their team. The tracker tells them Rachel is being held in the police station. Their man on the island has reset every trap, but now Salazar has tightened his security too. Baker drops down behind the police station. Bronco and Sid pull on police uniforms and walk straight in through the front. Calmly, they level their guns at the officers stationed by the weapons and grab the AR rifles. Next, they turn their guns on the officers near the cells, lock them inside, and pull Rachel out of her jail. So far, none of the other officers in the station have any idea. They push forward and put the rest at gunpoint too. A few more officers arrive from outside, and they get held at gunpoint as well, but they try to make a move. So, Sid and Bronco open fire. Baker sets explosives on the prison wall and blows it wide open. More officers are about to pour in from outside, but everyone slips away through the gap they've made. Police cars come tearing after them. Salazar gets the news. They activate the engine killers and bring the chasing police cars to a dead stop. But Salazar's men get a drone up into the sky. Before the team can pull out the gyropters, the drone drops a bomb on them, killing their teammate Dunn. A shootout erupts between Rachel's crew and Salazar's men. Sid takes out the last one with a grenade launcher. They switch their evac to the western route. Gucci and Moreno ride out ahead on bikes while the rest follow in a car. Salazar's 2 cars are right behind them, so they lead them into the banana pie. The bikers loop around through the trees, come up behind the enemy cars, and open fire. Bronco climbs out of the car and tries to open the pit, but it jams. He tries again, and this time it works. They finish off the men here, and Bronco rides out with the bikers. Olsen closes in on them in a helicopter. Rachel's team reaches the villa. They puncture the 2 cars trailing them and blow another apart with a landmine. They fire down on the enemies advancing on foot, while Bronco hunts them with a sniper. From here, their path runs through a tunnel. Gucci and Moreno go in first to set up the zip line. Bronco, Sid, and Rachel follow behind them. Baker stays back. He has to blow this whole place. Bronco tells him to be out within 2 minutes. Laying down cover fire, Bronco and Sid move Rachel into the tunnel. Baker fills the villa with smoke, but the enemy has already reached it, surrounding the place from every side. Baker can't get out. He decides to sacrifice himself, something Bronco is flatly ordering him not to do, and detonates the entire place with himself still inside. Rachel is sent across the zip line first. Sid lays down cover fire, cutting down the enemies closing in, then rides the zip line across himself. They strip the zip lines away, climb onto the ATVs, and now no one can follow them by land. But Olsen is right behind them in his helicopter, launching grenades down on them and into their path. They duck inside a warehouse. Bronco pulls out a missile launcher and fires through a window straight into Olin's helicopter. They reach the dock, but Bronco and Sid don't go any further. Rachel is evacuated alone. She heads straight to the Spencer Goldstein office where she finally gets paid. Bobby isn't worried about a thing because Salazar has vanished. But Salazar didn't vanish on his own. Bronco and Sid are the ones who grabbed him. They strapped him to a ventilator, wheeled him out of the hotel, smuggled him out of the city in an ambulance, and carried him to a boat. Salazar ends up in the hands of the FBI. Rachel pieces it together. Bobby double-crossed her by holding back Salazar's assets. So, she tells Bobby that Salazar will hand over evidence, exposing Spencer Goldstein's role in his criminal empire. And now all of that blame is going to land squarely on Bobby,